Good morning. I mean, afternoon, sorry. We'll probably be here till morning, but, right now it's afternoon. We're going to come down? Sure. All right, so I'm Jason Waters, Chair of Parks, Rec, and Tourism, and I represent for Ward 2 on the City Council. It's my honor to present a proclamation from the Mayor and Council for Parks and Recreation Month. And here's our Parks Director here, so I will give you the award, right? All right. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the City of Marietta, and whereas the City of Marietta Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Department has been a recipient of the Agency of the Year Award by the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association, and whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities, designs, and promotes active lifestyles in locations such as local parks, Custer Park, Sports and Fitness Facility, Elizabeth Porter Spray Ground, Franklin Gateway Sports Complex, among others. And whereas Parks, Recreation, Programming, and Education activities such as the Gym City Summer Camp, youth sports, Keep Marietta Beautiful, are critical to childhood development and community cleanliness. And whereas Parks, Recreation increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, and the attraction and creation of businesses. Whereas the Parks and Recreation Facilities Department are dedicated to exceptional maintenance of city facilities, and whereas the staff of Parks, Recreation Facilities Department provide programs for the city to enjoy, such as 250th Celebration of America, Marietta Soccer Fest, Marietta the Gathering, the Christmas tree lighting, and more. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has dedicated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas, that's the final and, so that's the good part, right? And whereas the City of Marietta recognizes the benefits derived from Parks and Recreation, therefore be it resolved by the City Council that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Marietta, signed by Steve Tumlin, Mayor. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thanks. You mind if I say a few more? Yeah. Yes. Nope. Okay. I just want to say a few words, if you don't mind. Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right. So just good evening. I'm Eric Black. I'm Director of Parks, Recreation, and Facilities. Just first, thank you, Councilman Waters, for the proclamation. Thanks to the Mayor and Council for recognizing July's Parks and Recreation Month for the City of Marietta. Just want to take a moment to thank our staff who work hard every day. Just some of the things they do at our parks. We have beautiful parks in our city. Our ground staff work very hard to keep our parks beautiful for each of you to enjoy, myself included. That includes working outside when it's hot and humid. The temperature's over 100 on days similar to today. And also working outside when it's below freezing, just to make sure our parks are maintained and looking beautiful. Our facility staff get called when toilets are clogged, when the electricity is out, when water is running out of the ceiling. Our Parks and Recreation staff works 7 days a week from as early as 5:30 a.m. to as late as 11 o'clock p.m., providing recreations for hundreds of thousands of people each year. In particular, our staff at Franklin Gateway Sports Complex work to host tournaments, sometimes those last 3 or 4 days in a row, and when they with thousands of athletes and very large crowds. During our special events, such as this past weekend, our staff work long hours to make sure our events are a great experience for the entire community. Just an example, as I mentioned, was the 4th of July. On that day, our staff started the day at 4 o'clock a.m., worked all day, and they didn't leave till after midnight to make sure the square was cleaned up and everything was ready to go for businesses and everybody the next day. So just on behalf of all of our department and the other leadership in our department, just want to say thank you to all of our staff, and we really appreciate everything you guys do. Again, thank you for Mayor and Council for the recognition, and we appreciate Council support of our department and recognizing the importance of Parks and Recreation to our community. All right, thank you.
Any announcements from this side of the diocese? Next item, we have 4 people signed up for a scheduled appearance. I'd like to, Mr. Donald Barth, if the very first one. Mr. Barth, please come on down.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to speak to you again. One of the things I want to say is that I couldn't have been more proud of y'all. You look good at the parade. You look good when I walked out of here the other night, Wednesday night. The square was crowded. I mean, y'all have done so much amazing stuff to put us on the map. Being on the map might not be such a good thing. But going back to last month, I didn't speak. I wasn't really happy with y'all. I want to throw a red card, but I'm going to give you a yellow card. Our policies and procedures are there for a reason. Follow them. When it came down to sign up to speak, follow the policies and procedures. There can't be anything worse than having Haney over there juggling paperwork. Reggie signed up to be the 7th speaker. He wound up the 13th speaker. Other people signed up, and Mr. Mayor went out of his way to go outside and bring in a speaker. I understand why. Let's get the video review. Sir, we do such a good job, and I don't want y'all acting like cats in the cat box covering something up. What we did on Franklin Road, I was there. I listened. You did everything according to your policies and procedures. Some of you were not on the council yet. It doesn't matter. We know what the policies and procedures are in place, and if you don't like the way they're done, change them. But don't change them on the spot. Now, over the past week, there's been a little bit of something about a data center coming up. Y'all, we can talk till the cows come home. Somebody doesn't like data, somebody does. I say it's part of infrastructure. It always will be from here on out. But I'm only one person. There'll be a lot of people speaking tonight, whether they like data or don't like data. Over the past little bit, I have gotten to look on some of the media. I have seen somebody called Shaggy Van, Little Miss Grits, a traveling hippie. Now, those are people I could hang with. I'm going to tell you something. There's really people I could hang with because they weren't trying to do anything deceitful. They were trying to do it one step at a time. And when we go through this procedure tonight, we're going to hear a bunch of different hearings on a bunch of different stuff, and I can't wait for gravel. I'll be down here. But what I want to tell you is I really appreciate for what y'all do. I know this is a tough job. And I look forward to the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Well, Christopher, is it Mave, M-A-V-E?
Hello. Thank you all for letting me speak tonight. I couldn't speak, like Donald said, I couldn't speak last week. There are procedures, so this time I came prepared and followed through. I know there's a lot of talk with technology, but specifically I wanted to talk about flock cameras, the license plate readers that are everywhere. I know there's a lot of talk about AI, and in my opinion, AI feels like the cover-up for these flock cameras because of how focused everyone is on the data centers. But the flock is the real problem with the cities. Internally with flock, there have been multiple high-level corporate positions One is the VP of Business, another was the Manager of Business Development, that had both been caught using flock cameras when they're not supposed to even be able to access them, to spy on children and spy on women in gymnastic classes and gym classes, and that's a shame. People shouldn't be spying. They shouldn't be spying on children. And our city council shouldn't be paying these people anymore. I think we need to remove completely any contracts and any lasting cameras, because if we really want to help our citizens, we can put that money into better resources such as community centers and also to help boost the police department. Because if we really want to fight crime, it's not paying a big company with cameras who can't do anything, but it's paying more people in our towns to be there when something does happen. Now, externally, Flock does have a lot of problems. There's a man named Ben Jordan, B-E-N-N Jordan. He has found that there are over 60 different vulnerabilities with these Flock cameras that people can hack into and then access those live feeds. So not only is it that these people are unauthorized in the company that are spying on people, but we don't even know who outside of the company has been accessing these cameras to spy on people. But we do know, because there have been over 15 different cops across the nation arrested for spying and stalking. There have been 2 in Cherokee, 5 in Sylvester, and even 1 in Richmond that were all arrested for stalking and spying through these Flock cameras. The Homeland Security, MITRE, has flagged all of these vulnerabilities as high and critical vulnerabilities, and Flock has done nothing to fix them. The Congress has even sent a letter to the FTC to investigate Flock, and nothing has been done. Multiple cities across our country have all canceled their contract with Flock, but they still continue to run those cameras and then even add more cameras to their cities without their consent and spy on them. The cities have started bagging their cameras because it's the last resort that they can do, and some private citizens have even started cutting them down. I'm not advocating for doing that, because that gets into legal territory, whether that's legal or not, but it has been happening. Same with bagging the cameras. It's to the point where even the cities are doing it. It's bad. And there are even people with warrants out there on their cars and for them who have committed 0 crimes because the police have used Flock cameras with no backup investigation to attach a warrant to an innocent civilian. And now they're being pulled over multiple times. There's one person who the same cop pulled him over 3 times the same week and knows him by name now, because all of an AI camera that no one wanted to investigate first before they followed through. We are a country that loves our freedom and prioritizes our freedom. It is our 250th year of our freedom, and we aren't celebrating it with freedom. We are celebrating it by surveilling our own citizens with a private corporation that shouldn't be getting the money it deserves. The money it deserves is no money, period. And if you really want to help your citizens, you should take that money away from them, cut down their cameras, and put it into resources that genuinely can help your communities. Thank you.
Mr. Reggie Copeland. Could he possibly be outside, officer? Did you see Reggie out there? No, sir. Right, we'll go on to the next one and give him, if he pops in, just let me know. Mr. Turner, excuse me, Miss Lindsay Turner.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Turner. I live right down the road from here. Mayor, City Council, City Manager, Deputy Chief, thank you for all that you do for this city, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I am a Georgia native, and Cobb County has been my home for almost my entire life. As a child of divorced parents, I spent half my time here, and then I moved to Cobb County permanently in 1998 and attended and graduated from Kennesaw State University. I have proudly called this community home ever since. Over the years, I've watched Marietta grow into something truly special. I've seen the square transform into a place where families gather, small businesses thrive, and people from every background come together. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened because generations of leaders and citizens cared enough to build something worth protecting. Serving my community has always mattered to me. In 2007, after meeting a young man with special needs, I realized there were very few opportunities for families like his to enjoy activities together. So I started a nonprofit organization. Over the next 14 years, we served over 2,000 families across the state of Georgia, and today that mission continues in Wales and Kenya. I also spent more than 20 years in the technology industry, where I witnessed firsthand how rapidly technology advances and how quickly innovation can reshape communities. Later I left that career to become a financial advisor after I discovered that my grandfather, who I never had the opportunity to meet, took his own life due to financial worries. It was because of that experience that I was called to my personal mission of helping people master their relationship with money so they can live lives filled with joy, peace, gratitude, and love. I share all this with you to show how I care deeply about people and community. And I'm not here tonight to fight or argue with anyone, but rather I want to show that we can still make decisions and find solutions through discussions, collaboration, science, and wisdom. Data centers are one of the most important issues our city has faced in many years. And the reality is this: some people oppose them and some people support them. But almost everyone agrees on one thing: there are still questions we haven't answered. How much noise will they generate? How much water and electricity will they require? What impact will they have on nearby neighborhoods? What are the long-term environmental and health consequences? And perhaps most importantly, are we making decisions with enough information? Tonight, I want to propose something that I believe can unite this community instead of dividing it. I ask this council to make a motion and to vote yes on placing a 12-month pause on approving new data centers while also creating a data center advisory committee. I will gladly volunteer to lead this committee. This committee should include community members, technology experts, environmental engineers, infrastructure and utility specialists, healthcare professionals, and others with relevant expertise. Over the next year, the committee members will visit existing data centers, study the science, evaluate the data, meet with experts, ask the difficult questions, and examine both the benefits and the risk. At the end of the process, the committee will publicly present everything learned to this council and to every resident of Marietta through an open town hall. Not conclusions based on fear, not conclusions based on politics, conclusions based on evidence, transparency, and facts. And if the committee determines these data centers are not appropriate for Marietta, the responsibility doesn't end there. The committee should also help identify where they can exist responsibly without simply shifting the burdens onto another community. I don't believe in protecting my neighborhood while sacrificing someone else's. I believe every community deserves the same thoughtful consideration we want for our own. Council, great cities are not built by making rushed decisions. They are built by leaders who have the wisdom to slow down long enough to get the decision right. And I hope tonight you choose wisdom. If you're willing to consider this proposal, Councilman Kent has my contact information, and I'd be honored to help. And to my fellow community members, thank you for being here. I encourage you to remain strong and steadfast. But before we decide that we can't trust our city leadership or that everything is broken, let's give them the opportunity to lead, and let's give ourselves the opportunity to learn together. If after doing the work we discover we need to stand together in opposition, I'll be standing right beside you. But for now, I choose hope. I choose to believe that here in Marietta, we can do something that's becoming increasingly rare. We can slow down. We can listen to one another. We can follow the evidence. And we can make a decision that serves not just ourselves, but future generations. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Copeland show up? I'd like to close the public hearing, and the next item would be the consent agenda, but before I do that, might be a motion to amend the agenda, and I'd like to call Mr. Goldstein to make a motion.
You're going to say what I'm going to say. Go ahead.
You,
It's all you.
I was just going to ask if the mayor and the mayor pro tem want to mention one of the items that is on here on consent, and that is 202-60692, the resolution instituting a temporary moratorium. Our audience, most of which do not have agendas, will know what that is.
Yeah. Going forward, we passed a motion from previous meeting and put on consent agenda to have a moratorium. There are two that are already out there. It does not include the two that are there, but going forward, obviously more information is needed. If nothing else, just what is a data center? I mean, is it 6 megawatts? So there's just a lot of issues that we do that, so when people, and we're especially attuned to it because we have a power company. And, we just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and making the right decisions. So we passed a moratorium through December the 31st of this year. And that just means that BLW can't even take applications because we couldn't react to it. So that did pass. It did pass unanimous. It gets on consent by being unanimous. So that part did pass. There is a data center, it's not one of the mega ones. In fact, Marietta doesn't have 800 acres available for, the ones in other parts of the state that are bothering all of us. So that said, you ready for a vote?
Yep, I am.
You need a motion, right?
I do.
I usually don't make these, so.
Okay. So I make a motion to
Approve the consent agenda.
approve what the mayor just discussed regarding the resolution. Okay.
What are you trying to hear?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Okay. You want me to answer this, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
So we're voting on the consent agenda. These are items that the council has agreed unanimously it wants to pass. The one key item that the mayor wanted to point out is a 6-month moratorium on any new data centers. So that will be part of the consent agenda. So that is the key that the mayor was trying to say. And we passed that 6-0 to put on this agenda on Monday night. So when we vote on the consent agenda, that will effectively put in a moratorium on data centers other than the 2 data centers that are currently in process. So there you go. We will be voting on a moratorium on data centers.
Well stated. So do we have a motion to approve what you just said?
So moved.
The consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved, and do we have a second? And properly second. All in favor? Raise your right hand.
Vote.
Oh, vote. Okay. The motion passes 7-0.
Still hear motion.
The next item is 1155 Powers Ferry Place. And this is a public hearing. Will you conduct such, please, sir?
Thank you, Mayor Thomas. This will be a public hearing regarding 1155 Powers Ferry Place. Let me make an introductory statement. Rezonings are limited to 15 minutes for the applicant, 15 minutes for the opposition. Within the 15 minutes, each speaker is given 5 minutes. And there should be no show of hands, no applause. The Georgia Constitution requires the City Council to vote to approve or deny based upon the facts. With that comment, Mr. Cummings, the floor is yours.
Before Mr. Cummings goes, Mr. Mayor, may I be recognized?
Yes.
I just need to disclose that Attorney Parks Huff made a donation to my campaign. Just a disclosure.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. For case Z2026-12, the applicant Prime Storage Powers Ferry LLC is requesting the rezoning of 10.727 acres of property located at 1155 Powers Ferry Place from CRC Community Retail Commercial to CRC Community Retail Commercial with an additional use as a data infrastructure facility, also known as a data center, for the purposes of allowing portions of the existing building and site to be converted into a data infrastructure facility. And Mr. Parks Huff is here to present on behalf of the applicant.
And Mr. Chuck Clay.
I'm not Parks Huff. Good evening, City Council. It's my honor to be here. My name is Chuck Clay. I've lived in this city since '78, which is not as long as some, but probably more than a lot. It's been an honor to be here, and I've watched Marietta move from a ghost town to a boom town. And there's sometimes an idea that that just happens. Sometimes there's an idea that things are inevitable, and they're not. It takes vision. It takes leadership. It takes looking over the horizon and doing things that are a little bit daring, a little bit uncertain, but you're playing it with the best knowledge you have to do what's right and beneficial for the city. I bring you what I think is a win-win here today for the city of Marietta. Things don't happen. When some wise Mariettans got an airfield built up on the hill there called Rickenbacker Field, nobody had any idea that that would be the Bell Bomber plant in Lockheed, Georgia. Nobody knew when we couldn't buy water to develop Cobb County. You all set up the Cobb Marietta Water Authority, a stroke of genius. When you wanted to control your energy and your grid structure for energy and make it more profitable for the citizens of Marietta, you created the Board of Lights and Water, which is a cornerstone. Another stroke of genius. When we had problems on Franklin Road, you all took charge, and look what's happening out there on Franklin Gateway. The Housing Authority, when we had problems, your Housing Authority under your direction completely transformed Marietta. These things don't just happen. They're due to your leadership and your vision and you looking forward and doing what's best. Edge. Edge is a local business. It's here in the community, on a commercial site, already zoned, using less than half of the space in the building, abuts on Highway 75, was limited by 12 to 18 max for the peripheral power. It will never grow another megawatt or wattage or any other thing. We have done the due diligence working with you and your leadership. We have done the mitigation on sound. We're not using Cobb Water or Marietta Water. It's a closed-loop system. Marietta Board of Lights and Water has energy it needs to sell for all of our benefits, and we're there to buy it now. We don't have to wait. This ain't speculation, guys. This is flip the switch and generate millions of dollars for this city for all that it counts for. Now, what does local mean? Local mean, well...
Quiet.
I appreciate the support back there, and I respect each and every one of them. And I'll say my piece and sit down, and they're certainly going to have their right to say theirs. But I'm going to tell you something. They've done this due diligence. They've operated in accordance with the rules. We've answered the questions. And when I say local, what does that mean? That's local jobs. That's local power. They use the word data center. This isn't even a data center if you want to get into the technicalities of it. This is a transmission of information center. How much? How many of these folks think this cell phone operates itself? How many phones think this operates itself?
Quiet.
How many folks think that it operates itself? They operate on the information derived from cell towers that we don't like. We don't have to build a cell tower. And when you talk about what's important for this city, it isn't just jobs. It isn't infrastructure. There's a Marietta way and there's an easy way. You saw a film here earlier. You saw a film here just a few minutes earlier, a young woman hit by lightning. Let me tell you what local coverage and local distribution of power means. That means instant. That means instant response within a second. When you're talking about importing or utilizing something in Ohio, New Mexico, or wherever it might be, you may have a 5, 6, 7, 8% lag time. One of your loved ones, one of my loved ones on the highway in a wreck, one of my loved ones in a cardiac arrest, One of my loved ones is struck by lightning. One of my loved, and this is true, sitting at an operating table at Kennestone that's operating with a screen in front of them on instant data to save a life. That's what we're talking about. Now, if you think this is quality of life, it ain't. This is called life and death. And these are the things that make this city, and I know you know it, these are the things that make us stand tall. It's not being afraid. It's not being booed. It's not being given the easy course. It's the Marietta way. It's great to look to the past, but you know what? If you're going to embrace the future, you can't get mired there either. And I would say at the end of this, I said it's a win-win. I'll tell you it's a win-win, and we'd ask for your approval on something that is vital to continue the city and the charm and the beauty and the facilities and the infrastructure we enjoy today. Thank you.
Let's be respectful, please. If you're speaking, you'd want to be respectful as well.
I'm going to go through a presentation, and I'm going to ask for some time on the clock because I'm not going to talk unless y'all can hear me.
A little hard.
All right. I'm not going to be interrupted, and I will take a presentation because this is an important consideration. And as the gentleman at the beginning said, let's talk about facts and not fear. This is a property on, who's got the, okay. This is 1155 Powers Ferry Place. First off, it's a little over 10 acres. 40 years ago, it was Pace Warehouse, a retail building. 30 years ago, that Pace Warehouse was converted into a self-storage facility. That's what you see right there is the Pace Warehouse building in the background. On the right-hand side is the storage buildings that were converted 30 years ago. This has been a self-storage facility. It's been the only use on the property. It's right next to 75, right at the interchange with Delk Road. This is using an existing building. It's a brownfield development, and it's the environmentally responsible way to add infrastructure, digital infrastructure. And as Mr. Clay said, if you want to understand what digital infrastructure being close by means, that means low latency. If you want an example of where that is important, you had it with the police call. 4 minutes for the fire department to get there. They're communicating with the police, with the hospital. That is the reason why it needs to be here and close and local, because of the low latency. That's the services need. You're the #1 digital city for a reason, because you understand and embrace that technology. Go to the next slide. The edge is what it says. It is not a data center like you have this 500 acres, and this is the transmission of that initial data that's so critically needed for traffic controls. As you had another presentation, you just took a grant to better control traffic. You have to have that digital infrastructure close by, and to do it in a responsible way is what we have the opportunity to do here. Go to the next slide. This is the most important slide. A picture says 1,000 words. So this is the site on the left-hand side. You see the Pace Warehouse building in the star. That is a 95,000 square foot building. We're taking less than half of it and putting digital infrastructure in that building, inside that existing building. It's an opportunity to use brownfield development versus redeveloping new property. The most important part is we're 1155 Powers Ferry Place. 1130 Powers Ferry Place is a digital data center that has been there for many years. It is very, very similar to ours. It is older technology. It doesn't use quite as much power as we do, but it's the same thing that we have, is a digital infrastructure, and it is there, and it has absolutely no limitation. It is Zone CRC, just like we are. It's a data center, and they can expand, and there are no limitations on the uses. But what we did is we came forward with actually some limitations on our proposed use, so that you are ensuring that you're protecting with noise, water, and other impacts. That has none of these limitations. We will have those limitations. The other important thing to point out is that the red star at the top, that is your substation. Again, why this location? That substation is there. It is sized for this use. so the substation does not have to be improved or enhanced. So you have power at the site that doesn't have to be brought in, and the infrastructure is already there, and you already have this use. It's been there for 20 years. It is the same exact use. It's a core data center. Go on to the next slide. Again, the same exact zoning category between the two. We're in a regional activity center. They are actually in a community activity center. So from a land use perspective, we actually fit better with the land use with our use. Go on to the next slide. This is mission critical digital infrastructure that, as I said, is intent and need is for immediate low latency response for all sorts of businesses, for governments, for emergency response. That is the reason and the need for here, but also because we use our phones all the time, and a lot of what's going on our phones is actually being done elsewhere. A lot of the automobile things are actually running on the towers, and having them close so it can keep up with traffic and all that's important. Go to the next slide. So this is, we've submitted a stipulation letter so that we have conditions that can be relied upon and can be enforced. And this is a very big part of that because it details the site plan. So number one is the building. It's the existing building, and that is only a portion of it. That lighter green would be used for the computer technology put in there. We've agreed that that would not grow beyond that. The remaining of that building is going to remain self-storage, as is some of the self-storage units that are in the parking, what was the parking lot for the Pace Warehouse. Those will remain self-storage. So this is not only converting, it's bringing in a new use, getting more utility out of a property, more use for the community, while also keeping the existing use. We've added some conditions that we would add to. Number 4 is important to show. That is a multifamily project adjacent to us. That is what we are most concerned in being very, very sensitive to. We are showing an 8-foot privacy fence that is currently a chain link fence, and that would be replaced with a 8-foot acoustically rated privacy fence along the property line. The other condition is number 2 is the location of the yard, which would have the mechanicals that support this. There's 2 types of mechanicals. One is backup generation. That is purely for backup. It is not to run the facility. It is only in the case of a power outage. The other is the cooling chillers. Those are no different than the chillers that you have in office buildings, at the hospital, at shopping centers, and at that data center. It's the same technology. It is no different. And it is in a closed loop system, so it's environmentally sensitive and environmentally responsible to do that. And we've agreed that it would be right there. And it is obvious to anyone that the point of putting that equipment there is because it's close to 75. And so it would have no impact in the on the adjacent properties because of this location. Number 3 is the sound attenuation wall. Again, included in my stipulation letter, we would do a sound attenuation wall. So the fence along the property line really is probably going to help more with the traffic noise than our noise because it's further away. The best thing to do is put your sound attenuation directly adjacent to the mechanicals that do have, they are low volume systems, but they obviously, like any air conditioning units, there are tons of air conditioning units in the apartment complex. So like any AC unit, they do create noise. So we've agreed to a sound attenuation wall designed by an acoustical engineer. You have a very detailed and very tight sound ordinance that limits even nighttime noise to 60 decibels. That's actually going to be a problem because we've actually done a study to show that because of the existing noise from the traffic, because of the existing noise with the airport, it's actually at 61 at night. But we will not be adding any additional noise because we are handling our noise on site. Go to the next slide. This is the type of walls we're talking about installing along the property line and along the adjacent to the mechanical equipment. And again, the mechanical equipment is no different than what you have elsewhere. Going to the next slide to show that this is within the Dobbins Air Reserve Base noise compatibility sub-area. It is recognized as a noisy area because of the existing traffic from the airport. Go to the next slide.
Mr. Huff, you got 1 minute.
Okay, this is showing that our level of noise will be below your noise ordinance, which is actually lower than what is already in the area. Go to the next slide. We will be using a closed loop system. It would be filled, and it is a chemical. It's very much like a radiator. Again, same technology as what you already have at the other data center. Go on to the next slide. This is for local use. It provides local jobs. It supports local businesses that need digital infrastructure close by. This is no different than the other infrastructure we have. Go to the next slide. This is strengthens the economy by providing jobs, construction jobs, significant construction jobs. Our chief engineer is a graduate of what was Southern Poly. So he is working on this project. He's glad to be doing it. Go on to the next slide. Go on to the next slide. This is the responsible way to have a digital infrastructure that is critical to be close by. It's using brownfield development. It's not using water. It's a closed loop system. It's taking advantage of existing power that's already in the area, and it fits within your power structure, what you need. Go on the next slide. Again, we went through that, got a couple of slides. I think that may be it. Go on, keep going.
Mr. Huff, your time is up, sir.
All right, thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak in opposition to this, come forward, state your name and address. I'm not going to go by that.
I'm not going to have you.
Oh, time out. Don't. Ma'am, hold on. You have a total of 15 minutes. If there's time left over, that's fine. If the first speaker uses 5 minutes, that'll leave 10. You do the math. State your name, address, and your comment, please.
Right. Good evening. My name is Selena Reardon. I speak for myself, represent myself, am paid by no one, and have a personal interest in the matter of the data center off Powers Ferry and a citizen who lives at 1395 West Booth Road. I live right next to Fair Oaks Park down the street. A couple weeks ago, our community had an outpouring of people opposing the installation of a data center off Bells Ferry. The constituents of Marietta came to make themselves heard, and their message was clear. We do not want, as a whole, to see a data center put in our backyard. Now there's a request today to rezone for another data center off of Powers Ferry. For those who may not have understood earlier, the moratorium that got voted for at the beginning of this affects upcoming data centers that may be voted on to put them back to December. It does not affect the two that are already being voted on, Bells Ferry and the one off Powers Ferry. Now, this request to rezone for another data center is pertinent to me, not only because I live in Marietta, but I work on that same road 2 minutes from where the proposed data center would be placed. That is not an exaggeration or hyperbole. That is the estimated drive time from Google Maps. Beyond the hammered home talking points, we've heard plenty about polluting local waterways. Even closed systems do when they're flushed, because they must be flushed to be cleaned, and they contain a lot of chemicals, as we saw with the deadly contamination in Cheyenne, Wyoming by the Meta data center this past week that has a body count. The noise and raising our utility bills at home, I'd like to take the time to point out some specific people this data center could affect. Also off Powers Ferry, next to my office, there are several apartments and condominiums, grocery stores, and restaurant businesses. But there's also Cobb County Fire Station 19 next door to my office. We have to walk past it to go to the Dollar Tree. This is 2 minutes from the proposed location. Not only would installing this data center potentially impose financial strain and health risks on the citizens and small businesses of Marietta, it could also result in an increase in costs and risks for the station as well. Any raises in bills, any water contamination, any constant noise pollution that could negatively impact some of our first responders who literally day and night sleep at the station to keep our citizens safe. There's no arguing that data centers have their place. Obviously, we have some, and they're doing fine. In an internet-native county where we rely so heavily on our access to online services and communication, they're a necessary evil to some degree. But to get the approval of the people of Marietta, a data center would need a lot of transparency. Who is putting it in? Why here in our backyards? What type of data is being stored there? And not just the promises of the owners, but what contractually and legally binding laws and regulations are in place or being put in place to protect the people of our community from corporations that may not have our best interests at heart. Until we have true transparency on these things, I will continue to state my opposition to this rezoning, as I'm sure many others will, time and time again. And I'm sure many of my fellow citizens feel the same way. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker.
Hello, councilmen and women. My name is Rivka Wolf-Campbell, and I'm a resident at 2324 Submarine Court here in Marietta, and I've lived here for several years now. A little bit about me. I am a zoologist by trade. My background is in science, and I do have a minor in sustainability and climatology as well. So earlier, Mr. Haney stated that this decision should be made on facts. I thought I would share a couple of those with you. Based on my background in scientists, I did a little bit of data crunching on the organism that is this committee. Based on what I've been able to find in the last 20 minutes on your LinkedIn personal websites and pages, 55% of you have a background in business, 33% in the legal sector, 40% in real estate, and 40% in finance. Some of you overlap in more than one category. With that said, 0% of you have a background in science or in healthcare. 0% of you have a background in community-focused roles such as waste management, which I hope we can all agree are very important people in our community here in Marietta, and are statistically across the country people who are most likely to be affected by these data centers based on where they are being built. Mr. Clay, I believe, Mr. Clay talked about vision and leadership for our city and about what's best for the future. Unfortunately, I think that's a pretty subjective term. We all have a different idea of what the best is. He specifically mentioned energy profitability. I see that as being energy and profitability over people. According to Forbes, a study that was released just this week, between 11,000 and 16,000 jobs have been lost every month this year due to AI replacing citizen workers. I don't see that being a people-first solution. I would also like to point out, I'm so sorry, I can't remember your name, sir, but he pointed out that our data centers are already here. We've had one in Marietta for at least 20 years, and we are using it for things such as our cell phones and our other gadgets. That is factually correct. However, you might have seen a viral video recently, a viral video by Dr. Amy Margolis, who stated correctly, and I can email you the references if that would be interest to anyone in this committee, that 65% of new data center installations are specifically for enterprise use. They are not from individuals, they are not from homes, they are from, again, those institutions that are replacing the jobs of our citizens. So, again, what are we trying to preserve here? What are we trying to build here? And what are we trying to leave for the people behind us? I know I personally am really invested in a healthy and clean environment. Again, I can share with you a great number of resources as to how we are not necessarily going to be leaving that if we proceed down this path. I yield my time to my neighbors.
I'll keep it as quick as I can. You guys don't know me. I know some of you. My name is Chris Conley. My family and I live off of Burnt Hickory Road on the backside of Kennesaw Mountain. And this proposed data center is less than 4 miles away from my home. Some of you may recognize me from my time playing for the Dogs for the last 10 years playing in the NFL, but I'm back home now, and so I'm showing up. And I'm standing here now as a resident and a father of 2 girls, one of whom has a respiratory complication. Given the acceleration of the data center builds across the country, there has been a delay in understanding of how these data centers have affected the health and the well-being of communities, but the facts are coming in. And now that more information is available, it is clear that data centers have a harmful impact and a high cost on community, affordability, and wildlife. So I moved to Marietta because it was important to stay close to home rather than moving to another city or state. Though it might have been harder for my next career, I know the cost. It is equally important to me that we put down good roots in a safe and sustainable way for my daughters. So let's talk about cost. Each of you know that nothing comes without a cost. There are costs associated with air pollution, noise pollution, water contamination, water shortages, rising electricity rates, and others. The list goes on and on. But there's so much data available to support these facts and these damages that are being had right now. And I was hoping that your previous unanimous vote was a mistake, but we can see now that wasn't. So right now, I know that this moratorium is necessary, but the council's laissez-faire attitude towards these rezonings and trying to move quickly to approve something of this nature is dangerous, not only for our community, but also for the positions that you hold. Think about it. This is a cost. The way you deal with this has brought me here, and let's be real. You don't want people like me showing up here. It means you messed up. Let's be real. I came back into town because this was so important. I wasn't here. I flew back for this. Speculation in this industry and the bets that you want to make should not come at the cost of our futures, not mine, not my daughters, not the people. Vote wisely today. Lastly, I'll leave you with one sentiment echoed by many of the coaches that I played under in the National Football League and collegiately. Watch yourself. You better not get too comfortable up there. Comfort doesn't last because the next guy is lining up to take your spot.
Ms. Faney, how much time is left?
There is 7 minutes left, total.
Okay, now count. Yeah, this time doesn't go get serious. We can, y'all be willing so more people talk just 2 minutes each?
I'll try. My name is Janice Lemieux. I live in Ward 3. I am here to urge you to vote no on the Powers Ferry Data Center rezoning application. This is not a vote against progress or technology. It's a vote for reasonable, responsible governance. Marietta zoning ordinances are currently silent or at best unclear about developmental standards specifically designed for data centers. These facilities are unlike traditional commercial or industrial uses. Before approving case-by-case applications for the development of them, Marietta should give consideration and implement specific ordinances that establish predictable standards that encourage responsible investment while ensuring the new development aligns with the city's long-term planning goals. Any ordinance addressing data center development should address appropriate zoning districts for data center development, minimum setbacks and buffering from residential neighborhoods and sensitive land uses, site design, landscaping and architectural compatibility, noise, lighting, and visual impact mitigation. And I'll note that stipulation H of the application promises noises will meet the city noise ordinance. That's not a concession, that's already the law. Unfortunately, the general noise ordinance has no data center specific standards, and this letter doesn't add any. No decibel commitment at the property line, no post-construction sound testing, no independent verification, and no enforcement mechanism. Ordinance should also address utility coordination and infrastructure capacity. Where's the Marietta Board and Lights in all of this? Emergency access and public safety requirements. Environmental performance, including air quality and stormwater management. Still missing from the stipulations, no water usage disclosure, no compliance monitoring, and generator testing limited to normal business hours with no cap on frequency or duration. Ongoing operational standards and compliance monitoring. Stipulation E is the quiet one. It locks in approval of the existing non-conforming conditions on the site. The staff analysis specifically recommended against granting relief that legitimizes those nonconformities. So the letter doesn't just fail to address staff's concerns, it does the exact thing staff said not to do.
Ma'am, your 2 minutes is up.
Voting no on this is not a vote against future data centers. It is a vote to preserve the good of the people who elected you to protect and serve them.
Good evening. My name is John Mendoza. I'm a homeowner. I live on Powers Ferry Drive. Depending on what the map says, it's either a quarter mile or half a mile north of this proposed data center. Now, when I found out about this, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician, I fix air conditioners and furnaces for a living. Now, I did some research and I came across the Department of Developmental Services analysis of this rezoning proposal. You're trying to change this from CRC retail commercial to CRC community retail commercial with additional use. And your own analysis says the city's comprehensive plan designates this parcel's future land use as regional activity center, intended to support medium and high intensity office and commercial development serving regional markets and trade areas. Although the rezoning request is for CRC with additional use, data centers are more commonly associated with industrial type development due to their reliance on large scale mechanical equipment, continuous electrical demand, and exterior support areas. These operational characteristics align more closely with industrial uses than with the commercial and office activities envisioned within the RAC designation. Therefore, this rezoning request does not align with the city's comprehensive plan. Your own analysis says this, so why are we even considering this thing?
Hello, my name is Sage Bokine. I live in Ward 4 of Marietta, and I'm a proud coordinator of the Cobb Democratic Socialists of America. As you might expect, I'm here to speak out against this data center construction project. However, the root of this issue doesn't just lie in questions around zoning, safety, cost of living, or development. When a government makes hostile decisions against the wishes of its citizens, we're called to ask, whose government is this anyway? If the Marietta City government truly serves its people and is elected to represent those people, it should strive to carry out the interests of those very people it says it represents. When a contentious issue arises and citizens make clear that they don't feel represented or they don't feel represented by a decision, it would naturally follow that the government should stop and investigate how to change course. It could, for example, put contentious issues up for referendum so the people themselves can decide what they want next to their homes. But while we're talking facts, here's a fact. We don't want a government by the people in suits, of the people in suits, for the people in suits. When you ignore us, we're watching. When a government decides to ignore popular discontent and operate only on its own internal rationality, it ceases to represent its people and begins to rule them. I do not believe politicians are superior to the people they claim to represent. On the contrary, when politicians seek to override the people's will, the people should seek to override the will of the government. We have engaged and will continue to engage in self-defense movements like this, but this is your opportunity to show good faith to your constituents. We've canvassed neighborhoods and rallied people together to show up today and last time. And do you really think we can't do it again come elections? I'm not here to convince anyone to vote no. I'm here to tell you that whether you are personally convinced on the issue should not matter. If you claim to represent your constituents, listen up. The voice of the people, the voice of the working class is here in this room and out on the street over there, and they say, no new data centers.
Your 2 minutes is up.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mayor Tumlin, the total time for the opposition has expired.
Yeah, I'm a third party, not opposition, so I can speak.
Give us a minute. We have
All right.
a lot of, give us a minute.
Okay. Should I begin?
The next 5 people agree to talk just for 1 minute?
Yes.
Oh.
Just the next 5 people that are willing to talk for 1 minute.
Okay.
And
is that all right with the council?
again, I think, if I'm correct, if we extend it for one side, we have to extend it for the other, correct?
That is correct.
So it would be five additional minutes for y'all to speak on the stuff, but it also gives 5 additional minutes for anyone on the other side to also speak. Okay?
Okay.
Like I say, if you want to speak over one, please respect the people behind you. Go for it.
So, I want to talk about the grand irony of this. The fact that my opposition came in here and spoke about how this would create jobs for people, when in reality, it's just going to take them. The fact that my opposition spoke about how this is going to help people's health and help EMS get there, when in reality, it's just going to pollute our environment and hurt people. The fact is, latency is not an issue. Our phones work. We already have plenty enough data centers. We don't need some AI to take people's jobs and take our health. They also spoke about how they were going to bring in money. For what? Our rising electricity bills? That's all it's going to do. It's going to make us pay more for some rich man to get even richer. There was a YouGov poll that showed that 97% of people dislike this data center. The mayor only won by 89 votes. And I supported you, Mr. Mayor. You know why? Because you did well. Because nothing was going wrong in this city. This throws that out the window. There are 89 people here today. They can all go vote. And with the enthusiasm people have shown, with the fact that people are willing to bang on the walls, because that's how upset they are about this, it's going to be a landslide. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hi. Never done anything like this before, but this is important to me. My name is Ellen Warren. If I can take a deep breath, excuse me. Everybody here has already said what I wanted to say, with the exception of a couple of things. We have animals in the back of our yard. We have a green belt that we have cherished for 34 years. We have deer, we have coyotes, we have raccoons, we've got birds. With the sounds that are going to come out of this, they'll be gone. And that's not where I want to live anymore. This is where I thought I would die. That's not going to happen if this thing goes in. Y'all need to listen. Please, listen to these people. They know what they're doing. I will say one thing. I've heard so much about a closed, whatever that's called, a closed loop. Yes, closed loop data centers periodically need to change or replenish their water. Now, so what? So do these other ones. They may not do it as frequently, but as one of the ladies said, it's the same stuff that's going to pollute. It's going to go into the creek down there that all of these animals that I just mentioned drink from. And if that stuff is in there, it's going to kill them. You know, some of our children, when my little boy was little, he would go and play in the creek. Is that what you want? I mean, I am less than 1/4 of a mile from this thing. And I stored my stuff at that storage unit for many years. I know exactly where it is. I can cut across the grass and go down one of our roads in the Tuxedo Estates, and I can walk to it. You know, I just beg you all to listen to what everyone has said, because it's killing us. We want to do the right thing. This isn't it for now, particularly since we don't have all the facts. I read all those pages, and it said not applicable, not applicable. Well, why isn't it applicable for me to know what they're going to dump in the creek?
Ma'am, your 1 minute's up.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura Meadows. I live on Powers Ferry Drive, which is inside Sun Valley Estates, which is adjacent to Tuxedo. I know that there's already a data center there, but just because there's one there doesn't mean we want more of it. This is proposed to be literally in my backyard, and I'm represented here I'm joined here today by 2 or 3 of my neighboring families. We don't want this here. Just because there's going to be, the ability to address latency issues. Are we having latency issues now? And how do you know that having this data center here is going to benefit Marietta? You know, they may contract those services out to other cities, other locations. There's no guarantee that Marietta is actually going to benefit from it. So I don't have a eloquent prepared statement with statistics and facts, but I will tell you this. Just because it's there doesn't mean anybody wants more. We're all very concerned about the environment, about the stream, the wildlife this lady mentioned. We are literally on that green belt. We don't want it. We're concerned about the additional traffic. And, if you say it's going to create jobs, well, are those people going to teleport in? They're going to have to drive in. I'm concerned about the traffic and the noise, and also the water and the electric. So I ask that you do not approve this proposed zoning request. The people who live there do not want it. We just don't want it at all. And there are other people who do not want it for other reasons. But it's very personal to about 8 people in this room, probably more, because it's our backyard. So, thank you.
Last speaker for the extended time.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Chelsea Hurst, and I'm a resident of Marietta. I'd like to use this time for public comment to share my position and research on data centers. Data centers are highly unpopular for an array of reasons, ranging from water consumption and energy demand to land disruption and destruction, to the very reason many of these new data centers are being built. Today, I would like to focus on the general idea behind why I believe so many of us oppose this new data center boom and why you all should as well. In today's world, AI and chatbots are progressing at an unprecedented rate, and flock cameras are going up all around our state and country. I am no Luddite, and I can understand how the progression of technology can benefit our community, especially when it comes to productivity, but I can also listen to experts who say hundreds of thousands of jobs will be permanently reshaped or lost altogether to AI in the next year alone. I can listen to firsthand experience from those living near these new data centers and understand they are detrimental to the environment and mainly benefit the people who own them rather than everyday working Americans. Data centers are not new, but the push for rapid expansion is concerning. Most of us are grateful to have access to email, social media, online banking, and bill pay, as well as other technology that require data centers. This infrastructure is not new. However, recent data centers are now being used to store personal and mass surveillance information, train AI, and run chatbots. When it comes to surveillance, there has been a lot of pushback on flock cameras because many of us see no need for our movement to be tracked and stored. Chatbots seemingly have no use aside from ruining critical thinking, and AI in general is a complicated issue. Between the expected job losses and the disturbing warnings multiple tech researchers and AI pioneers have shared recently, I am hesitant in accepting the construction of new data centers to support these controversial technological advances. One thing I haven't heard enough discussion on is dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing is an economic pricing strategy that has been supercharged by technology and is highly unpopular with consumers. It involves AI software to adjust the price of goods or services in real time. This means consumers may pay a different price for the same product at the same store on the same day due to individual data, including personal information like search history. Data centers serve as the physical infrastructure, including servers, networking, and power that major retailers and financial institutions use to host AI software that execute these tasks. Why would members of the community who oppose dynamic pricing, the use of AI chatbots, flock cameras, or other mass surveillance tools want to support the very infrastructure that will allow its expansion, especially at the potential expense of our natural resources in addition to our water and air quality? There are an abundance of reasons people do not want data centers in their communities, but environmental impacts tops the list for many. One major concern of mine is air quality. I have noticed in recent years at least half a dozen warnings for poor air quality, indicating smog and air pollution in our area. According to the Atlanta Business Chronicle and CBRE, which is a Fortune 500 company, Atlanta is now the second largest data center market globally, even ahead of places like Silicon Valley, London, and Tokyo.
Ma'am, your 1 minute is up, Mayor. Tell me the extended time has expired.
Can I finish at the end today? I signed up also. Today, I can finish now or at the end?
You agreed to 1 minute, so I think we need to close it.
That's fine. I called earlier today to ask about speaking, and they said there were 5-minute slots. I signed up outside. I'm happy to wait till the end of the meeting to finish, but I would like to finish if possible.
Okay. We're never going to leave.
But the rest of the people in line, it's over after. Go ahead and
That's
finish.
fine. I'll wait till the end if y'all want me to.
Speak for them because they're not getting a chance.
What do you want me to do? Okay.
You got it. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, where was I? Atlanta is now, there have been several recent studies showing the connection between poor local air quality and nearby data centers, which is not something that can be ignored. Many of us have voiced our concerns publicly and privately on the proposed Powers Ferry data center and the Delk Road data center. Both are highly unpopular. While the Cobb County Board of Commissioners voted unanimously to place a temporary 180-day moratorium on data centers, I would like to see a long-term moratorium or permanent ban for new data centers in all of Marietta and Cobb County. If that is not feasible, there are several things we could do to mitigate risk and protect those of us who will be living near these new data centers. As some of Marietta's elected officials, you are entrusted with making critical decisions that impact our lives, and we rely on you to act in our best interest. I would like you to consider the following to show people in your community you have their best interests in mind and want to be fully transparent regarding data centers moving forward. First, before any data center receives zoning or permit approval, I ask that you all require a complete, publicly available, independent environmental impact assessment covering water usage, heat output, air quality, and projected effects on local utility rates. We need to come up with limits we deem accessible and not be willing to cross that line. Second, it is imperative that data center developers bear the full cost of all utility infrastructure upgrades their facilities require. These costs must not be passed to residents and small businesses through higher utility rates. There are several cases across the country where tech companies that own data centers guaranteed nearby residents would not see utility increases due to their new data centers, including future grid updates. Yet people saw utility increases anyways. We cannot just take their word for it. Legal ramifications need to be in place to prevent this from happening in our community as it has in others. Accountability for these corporate data centers is imperative. Lastly, I would like to see a public town hall be held within 60 days of new data center proposals, in addition to any and all land that is being rezoned to light industrial. These town hall and relevant city council meetings should be announced on all platforms frequently so it reaches people who do not consistently check government websites. This community wants to be informed, and we should all be aware of the details. Specifically, what reviews were conducted and what protections are in place. Many of us are not opposed to technology or economic growth. We are asking that projects of this scale be held to the same standards of transparency and community protection that we expect of every other industry. I implore you to not just hear your community, but listen to us when we say no more new data centers in Marietta. We are watching, and we will remember how our elected officials respond to this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. It's over. This other side has a chance to talk.
The other side needs a chance.
We're over now.
We're over now?
We signed up for the comment against this. Let us finish.
I'll try to keep it to a minute.
No.
You extended time last time.
Will you be the first to honor 1 minute then?
I will do my best. I will do my best.
Those.
I'll start now. My name's Perry Barrett. I want to ask, what type of guarantees are in place to ensure the statements made by the applicant here are going to be adhered to? Because all I see now is desperate gish galloping in order to get a stamp of approval. They say it's going to be 18 megawatts, still near the equivalent usage of 15,000 families. But the Powers Ferry data center is reported to be using less power than what was asked for. So who's to say that this site on a whim could not end up needing more power than what they describe here? They say that they're going to be reducing noise pollution. How? Because I know this apartment complex up against the property line can hear the sound of traffic going down I-75, even with the 20-foot barriers going alongside the highway. What is an 8-foot barrier going to do to protect a 2-story apartment complex? This is something we have to investigate here because the basic science is sound travels in all directions. The sound of the highway is noticeable outside, but it is at a higher frequency, which means that it's more easily blocked by walls and doors.
Your
the
1
low
minute is
residence
up.
frequency. Time's up. That was it.
Your 1 minute is up. Yes.
Thank you.
Vote this down, please.
The other time.
The applicant will have an extra 10 minutes.
All right. No, we don't have sign up for this.
No, I was sign up for this.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to go through, as was stated during the public comment, let's have a discussion with facts and actually, there was a couple of constructive comments that I heard, but most of it was just fear. And like saying that we're going to put water in the creek. This is a closed loop system. It will not, no discharge is anything in the creek. It is all dealt with like any.
Quiet in the meeting hall.
I reclaim my time, and I don't want, when they're talking, to count against me.
You just said a discussion of this. Come on, take control of this meeting, for God's sake.
Let's be respectful for the speaker at the podium at the time. Yes. Yes, we extended the time so that other people could speak. Okay. Mr. Parks, you have the podium.
Thank you. So this is an existing use. If I go to the slide with the aerial that shows the couple of things, I want to just emphasize that what no one said was there's a problem with the use at this location. The couple slides before that, I think one more. There we go. So there was no one that said, oh gosh, this is a inappropriate use here. From an environmental perspective, the people that are concerned about the environment, being able to use an existing building is really important because you're not creating new pavement, you're using the existing brownfield development with adding this use here. The other thing that I think is important is that 1130 is an identical use. And I've got the last two slides, I think, zoom in on that. All the way at the very bottom. Keep going. So when I said that the mechanical equipment that we're installing is chillers, those are the exact same product that you see right there. It's across the street from the multifamily, further from the interstate. And I did not hear anyone say that those utilities are causing a problem. And if they were, I think they would be saying that this current use, which is identical to our use, go to the one up from that. That's the other set of chillers. So they've got theirs on both sides of the building. I think there's 8 total plus backup generators. And so that is exactly what we have on our site. But actually our building size is smaller. And we have all that utilities shoved up against the interstate, and then we've agreed to do a wall adjacent to that. And we have a stipulation letter, and the last comment of how do you ensure that what we commit to you actually happens. We have a stipulation letter that would do that. So if it's adopted subject to that, we've agreed to these conditions that limits it. There are no limitations on that data center. There's no sound barrier that they built. And you can see the proximity of those chillers to the residential use. And it's much further from the interstate, so it doesn't have that ambient noise that is also involved in our site. So you could not pick a more appropriate site for this use, and you already have this use and this type of infrastructure already right there. This outside equipment, which is chillers, that's air conditioning units and backup generators. A couple comments. We didn't agree to a limit on the number of times. We would agree that the backup generators would only be tested once a month. We said they need to be tested, just turned on once a month during normal business hours. So we would agree that limitation. I think that was a reasonable suggestion, and I appreciate it. The other thing that was brought up is would we monitor? And we would agree to put a sound monitor on the property line so that we would be able to share that with the city, and we would make that another condition. So that was constructive comments from the audience of things that we can do to ensure that the commitments we are making actually would be done. This type of digital infrastructure, that is, the core site has been there for many years, but as we know, our computer and digital usage continues to increase. You partner with Georgia Tech to have wonderful programs like your fire trucks can go through lights. You have to have digital infrastructure to make that happen. It just doesn't happen. And that digital infrastructure has to be close to be able. So you have to have that digital infrastructure, and it has to be close with low latency. I think the conflation is that this is a hyper center. This is and we've also limited to 18 megawatts. So the power usage is limited to 18 megawatts total. That's 12 for the actual computers, 18 for the total infrastructure support that goes with that. So we've got the limitations that put in here. It is intentionally placed close to a substation. It's intentionally placed close to traffic corridors. Again, in the work session agenda, you just had a grant to be able to use digital infrastructure to better manage traffic flows. So you don't become the number one digital city providing these digital services that improve people's lives without also providing for the infrastructure that does that. So we have the opportunity, and if you put yourself in my client's position from a land use perspective, from a constitutional property rights, when they saw their site and they see this site, same zoning, same category, same use, same outside use, it's hard to not conclude that this is an appropriate use in this location with the limitations that we have. That's what your staff comments had, was we need to make sure there's limitations on it to make sure it fits in. We've put those limitations on it that puts in here. I will say that the other potential uses for this, I mean, it's a self-storage facility. It's been a self-storage facility for 30 years. I think that self-storage facilities are great, but we all can agree they're not the most productive use of land.
Mr. Huff, your time is up, sir.
And so to be able to add this into the property.
Public hearing's closed.
Public hearing is closed. Yes, sir.
Thank everybody for commenting. If somebody didn't get to speak, we have the unscheduled appearance later in the evening. I hope not much later. No, sir, the public hearing is over. Thank you.
Excuse me, if you're going to vote on it, we want to say something first, please. Give them more time. Okay, your terms are acceptable. I will sit here for 2 more hours if that's what it takes. Or 3 meetings.
That's one of us.
That's not how this works.
We have to end at some point.
Yeah. Are we going to take questions or a motion first, sir?
Thank you, but the public hearing is open.
We're already here. Let's go. Let's let us be.
No, sir, the public hearing is closed.
Please.
You asked him to leave.
I agree. It's going to have to be...
No, I signed up specifically for this. Excuse me. I signed up specifically for this agenda item.
There's no sign up for this.
Where's our police? Ask them to leave.
Clear the aisles, please. Clear the aisles.
Thank you. I'd like to open up the floor for discussion.
Questions whenever you're ready.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I have a number of questions. I have a number of questions. Now, the last time I did this, I ended up on TikTok because I'm too aggressive. So just let me answer these, okay? Mr. Huff, can you talk about the closed loop system? So you say it's a closed loop system. It'll be filled once.
Yeah.
Will it have to be maintained? Will it be drained? Is it water only or water and glycol? Tell me more, please, about the closed loop system.
Yeah, and I'm going to call back up to come down to correct me when I say something that I'm not an engineer, obviously, but I have learned a lot about this. First off, the closed loop system is water that's brought in with glycol, which is a chemical that dissipates heat. And so it's a closed system, and it doesn't have to be drained, but very rarely, if at all. The initial fill-up is 30,000 gallons. We plan to bring that in, and that sounded like a whole lot of water to me until he said that's actually a swimming pool.
Right.
So it's only filled up, and then it is circulated and doesn't need to be maintained.
So my question, I guess, for the engineer, if you guys can speak to that, please.
Sorry, are you asking a question? Or are you?
No, I'm asking about.
Hi, Councilwoman Cheryl. My name is Jonathan Crouch. I'm with Prime Group Holdings. So in filling up the system, we have a contract as it gets filled up. We fill the system. It operates. We then put in a standard operating procedure that keeps the water levels at within the system, and we would never take the water out until the annual or whenever the period of time that we might need to take it out. It very rarely is ever taken out of the system.
Well, guys, come on. Let me ask the questions. Just chill out, please. All right? You said annual. So annually,
So
you're
there's
gonna...
sorry, I apologize. So within the standard operating procedures, there's daily, monthly, quarterly.
Right.
So therefore checks. So the water normally would never be taken out of the system unless there is a problem within the system. There's very rarely a problem within these systems. So you would only have to do it if there was something that came up within the...
So let's go for the worst case situation. There's a problem. The water's got to come out. Where does the water go?
The water is collected and is taken to a facility to be treated and
So it's not drained
it's
into
not drained into the storm drain system within the property.
Okay, so if it needs to be drained, if there's a problem, you come in, you collect the water. What about leaks, erosion?
Correct. So we have leak detection. Obviously, it's a very smart building. Everything is monitored from energy to water use. Matter of fact, we have some of our other engineers from the control side here in the audience and members of the community. And so when we are looking at this, we're constantly studying the energy use, studying the water use. If water starts to leak out, that's going to impact the energy use. So we need to make sure we know where it is. So we would see the water, either the pressure drop and change or a change in the temperatures, and that would then alert us through our phones or notifications, not sounding alarms, but notifications, and we'd be monitoring that.
Okay, thank you. So I have more questions. So one of your slides, and this is actually for Mr. Huff, one of your slides said that energy usage or power usage would be at the commercial rate. And I don't know if we can go to his slides.
So we hit what the contract in with the BLW contract, it is we will pay market rate and plus profit, and so the city BLW is never at risk for us paying a lower rate.
Okay, so even though it says up here, maybe it's the next one. Okay. Yeah, the no public funding, privately funded and billed at commercial rate. It is actually not just our normal commercial rate.
Right, yeah.
It is at market rate plus.
Right.
So there's no expense. There's no up for the community or even the power company. We buy it, you pay for it plus. Okay. All right, so my next question has to do with, if I may continue, I'm sorry, Mary, I've got a bunch of questions. My next question has to do, if we go to the slide that's got the site layout, elevation, and buffers. Right there. So noise, pretty much like water, travels in all directions.
Right.
While it's good that this is a facility that is 20 feet lower than the townhouses next door, noise will still go up. Are you prepared to put sound buffering cap over this number 2, or is it just you looking at the green hash line as your only sound buffering?
So the first off is the sound is going to be controlled by putting all the outside mechanicals only in the area number 2. So that's the first thing, is putting it in the appropriate location. The second thing is directly adjacent to that area that's going to be a yard, we will have a sound barrier. And that sound barrier will be designed per the STIP letter, will be designed by an acoustic engineer to ensure that we attenuate the sound created by the chillers. And again, I have to point out that the other facility has chillers with no sound barrier at all.
Right, and we can't do anything about them.
Right.
I mean, I've made it clear that one of my biggest issues on this is sound. So again, my question is, are you prepared to put a sound deadening top over number 2?
Oh, you talking about like a
cover?
Cover?
Yes.
We will do what our acoustical engineer recommends, and I don't know that he would recommend a cover because that creates echoes and other things. But
It goes into what? I see you shaking your head, so here.
Yeah, so just want to reinforce that. So, I mean, we will do what we need to do in order to meet the code and better the code. You obviously want to be a good neighbor.
But this isn't in the code, so this is what we're going to end up coming out of this tonight if we say yes.
Understood. So, first of all, sound is, we try to always block it by the line of sight. That ultimately is the best way to block sound. So sound going up isn't necessarily heard. It's the sound that's at the line of sight. So you try to put up a wall as best you can. And here we also have the elevation change of 20 feet, as you just mentioned. So those two items are covered. Now, if you start to try to put something over the top, you do create a potential of echoing and other sounds. So you do have to study that and make sure.
You would create an echoing if you went up, but not if that echoing goes up and then back down, and you also have sound deadening inside and not just an outside.
So for some further clarity is that the generators are also enclosed as well, so we have double the layer there, so that wasn't mentioned earlier, but I just wanted to let that be known. Within the chillers, you can try to help drive the sound further up. That would be the better solution than to try to put something over the top. But at the same time, I don't want to that needs to be finalized by the engineer. And right now, the engineer does believe with the walls and the elevation change that we will meet or exceed the requirements, but we will design it as required in order to be.
Okay. So the sound buffering on the outside,
yes,
this green hash line, is that only intended to be on that one side and a little bit of the top side, or is it going to go all the way around?
Great question. It's intended right now to be on that side because of the sound blocking to the residential.
So you just talked about echoing. What about the sound that's going to bounce off of there onto highway, which then will also bounce back to there? So why is there no sound buffering on the side closest to the highway?
Well, because at that moment,
we would agree to that sound barrier
wherever.
So the sound barrier all the way. What about the sound hood?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Yeah. We got to look at that hood. Again, sound is like water. It's going to go where it can go, and it will go up.
Can I suggest two things? One is we would look at, I just don't know engineering-wise, but we would look at whatever the acoustic engineers, which would include either cantilevering in at the top or covering it, and submit to the city the acoustical engineer's report on options there.
Okay. Yes. On the 8-foot fence, is that going to be 8 foot or sound attenuating 8 foot?
It's a sound attenuation fence. It is an acoustically designed fence that has sandwiched material between other materials that are soundproofing, and we have shown that as an 8-foot fence. I was asked if we could increase that to 10, and we would agree to increase the height.
And again, it is sound attenuation, so it's going to bring back that sound.
It would be a sound attenuation fence.
Okay. Let's go to the diesel generators. How many generators are we considering? What's the number of generators that would back up 18 kilowatts or megawatts?
9 generators.
9 generators. Will those generators be maintained all at the same time?
No, they will not.
So they'll be on a schedule where you'll turn on one,
correct.
So you will not have 9 generators running at the same time. There'll be a generator, it's off.
Correct.
And it will
for maintenance, it will be on a cycle.
Would you be willing to agree to a 60 decibel rating? I know you say the highway's 61, but daytime. So our decibel rating daytime is
65.
65. Would you agree to a 60 daytime and 50 nighttime? Now I know you're going to have a problem because I'm going to ask you to go to something that's less than the highway, but when the highway is slow, which it does actually happen, what I don't want is you being louder.
We would agree to that.
So we're looking at a 60 and a 50. Let's talk about the inside of, I'm sorry, Mayor, I have a lot of questions. Are you still okay here?
Can I interrupt one?
Please.
We own Marietta Power, so I think any stipulation we talk about now, it will be in the contract.
Yes.
Yes. Just you know, somebody says how the BLW would almost have an enforcement role, you know, not code enforcement, and then.
Are you still talking sound?
Am I still talking to?
About sound.
Sound, yes, sir.
I have a question.
Okay, but jump in while I'm.
But I do want to
my
say,
next one.
But our buffer will be, everything we agreed to tonight will also be incorporated, not by reference, by actual inclusion in the contract.
Yeah, it would be doubly, what you're saying is it would be doubly enforced in zoning conditions, but also in a BLW contract.
Yeah, because we're, you know, even to the point I think the BLW is planning on putting there will be a meter cutoff when you go over the allocated amount. Because these people are talking about safeguards.
Yeah.
And also just, you know, I think we'd like in the contract as hopefully technology will improve as this keeps going like it is, you know, that we would like to see upgrades from time to time to stay in compliance.
So,
go ahead, Carl.
So my first question is the engineer. So how would you test the sound level? I know you don't have it built yet, but are there other facilities that are similar that have done environmental tests and sound tests that will give us an idea of what to expect?
So, as far as other facilities, I mean, every facility is a little different, but
Right.
we have sound meters that we've already had on the site. They're put on the site with monitoring and recording, and we would put those on the site to monitor while we're doing any of the operations.
And my question is because we have other locations where we've had issues with sound in my ward. They were not to chillers or diesels, but just business noise. And even though the sound level was maintained at whatever the nighttime level, the people still had problems in their homes because that sound overrode their televisions or their conversations because it's and although they were not breaking the law because it did meet the 60 decibels at night. So and my question is also to Doug. Our code enforcement, as far as sound is concerned, is not very strong. I mean, if you look at the code enforcement, and Daniel, you may be able to look this up and tell me, if there's a violation, the first offense is a warning. The second offense is up to a $500 fine, I think is a maximum. And I don't know if there's any way that we can make that. I know some other municipalities have put stronger penalties in if there was continuous violation. I'm speaking, please. So that's one concern I have is that how do we, even though you put the meters there, I think our offices have meters now. If there's a sound issue, the resident or person who has a problem is supposed to call 911, and they have meters. They come out to the actual site that you have, that the complaint is at, and take a reading, a point-in-time reading, and a citation could be issued. But my concern is that how do we strongly enforce? I mean, if the site is already built.
Yeah, I got it.
No, it's not.
No.
We're not going to tell you how to enforce it.
Yeah. I'm talking to my attorney, please. Okay, not to you. This is not a back and forth. We're talking to the attorney for the client and also for Doug, our attorney. Is there anything that we can do?
You were going to mention.
Yeah, I was going to, a couple things. One is what we're talking about is a system that if it violates the noise, it would do it all the time.
Right.
So the fine would be like a daily fine. It would not be something that would be continued. It would have to be addressed. It's not like a band that comes in and violates it this night, but not this night. It would be because it's mechanical. The other thing is that you can amend your noise ordinance to change it, and that's totally within your purview. If there's a continuous problem, you can change your ordinance and increase the fines in different settings. So that is totally your authority to do that. So you could.
I talked to Doug already. So can I ask and jump back in here? And
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to jump in, jump in. So let's talk about the chiller fans. Are you going to use continuous or variable?
The fans are variable.
So the problem with variable, while that sounds really good, when they start back up, I understand from everything that I've read that they are even more noise when they start up. So why not continuous fans?
Well, I mean, the fans will be variable based on the load, so it's kind of how the chiller works, but they are low noise fans.
Okay, but there are two types of fans. You can have the variable or the continuous, and the problem with the continuous is while they do dip down during quiet times, you can set them nighttime quiet, whatever, starting back up, the noise peaks up. So again, we still have that problem of the noise as the fans peak back up because they're variable.
Right, but the study that will be completed to determine what the mitigation is will take that into account.
Take it into account and not exceed 60 decibels?
Correct.
And 50 at night. Will you have two-sided sound attenuation, both outside and inside where the chillers are, so that the noise is stopped there, but the echo that goes out and bounces back is also deadened? Double-sided sound attenuation.
The sound attenuation is absorptive, so the sound doesn't echo.
So does it absorb both sides? It absorbs from the inside out and also noise outside in?
That I really don't know.
We need to look at that because, again, if it's not going to be double, the problem you're going to have is the equipment that's inside is going to bounce out. You've also got the effect, as we've already spoken about, echo, which that's going to go toward the highway and bounce back. So if you don't have it so that it attenuates both inside and outside, you're just fixing one issue but not the other.
Well, if the yard would be continuously enclosed, so there's really nothing to go outside.
Again, sound's not just going to travel horizontally. Sound travels in all directions.
Right. Sound that goes vertical stays vertical, though. And the study
stays vertical like this, it is going to be picked up. I'm looking at people who live in the adjacent at 20 feet up. As that sound comes off of there, will travel conically toward them. What are we doing about that?
the wall will cut that off. That's part of the study.
I'm not completely positive about that. Let's talk about the equipment that's going to be on the inside.
I was going to say, we would be comfortable with the condition that if exterior soundproofing is recommended by the sound study, we would do it.
And I get all that. And again, I've already said, and I continue to say many times, my biggest issue is sound. I am confident in our electric company's ability to do their job, and 12, 18 megawatts, I know that they can do. I'm confident that that will not increase energy costs to residents because we will go on the market, and I've seen how the market works, and we will do market plus. What I'm not confident about right now is sound. And I know that we're up against the highway. The highway's at 61 decibels, but the highway is not continuous. There are peaks and valleys even in road traffic on I-75. Hard to believe, but it happens. When it happens, what we don't want is that sound from your facility affecting the other people that live there. Just because they're living next to a highway and they're okay with that, I don't want to add to that. And also I don't want the vibration of the sound, because it's not just sound, it is vibration that affects people. And as a migraine sufferer, I get that. Okay? So on your equipment that's in the building, what will be the sound blocking on that?
The generators, the backup generators, are fully enclosed, insulated. The chillers are obviously they can't be contained within. They require air circulation, and the equipment that is called for includes low sound fans, and also some low, where I saw it here earlier.
I think your question's about the inside the building?
Yes, the inside the building.
Inside the building.
Inside the building, yes.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Inside the building is going to be finished out with normal interior finish out. So it will have insulation. It will have, and part of that is because it needs to be kept chilled. So we have an incentive to insulate it with sheetrock and other insulation in there. So, and then it's a concrete building, so that insulation will also act as a insulator for the sound within the building. And the equipment in the building doesn't produce a whole lot of noise. It is computers running. It is not
right, but it does produce some
Yes.
noise. Will there be sound attenuation on the roof? Because there's obviously going to be air vents and other things that will allow sound out. What will be the plan for sound attenuation outside of the building? Not just, sound attenuation inside, but what about that sound that comes out through vents?
I don't think we have
Sorry,
any.
there's no air vents.
The vents aren't on the roof. It won't vent out on the roof. The ceiling will be insulated in sheetrock.
Where does air vent out of? Out of my house, it vents out of my roof.
The system is closed inside the building, so there's no real venting of any air.
Where does the warm air come out of then? It's got to come out somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere.
Heat
He's
has
got
to
to
get
go
out
somewhere.
So the computers are enclosed. Yeah, the computers are enclosed basically in boxes that are like refrigerators.
Can you speak up? You need to lean
Sure.
and speak up.
The computers are enclosed in boxes that are basically like refrigerators. The chilled water goes into them.
Mm-hmm.
It cools the computers. The heated water comes out and goes to the chillers. So there's no air per se. It's enclosed within the box.
Okay.
So the heat is being dissipated through liquid, not through air. Right. Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please ask a question.
All right. Regarding sound, it's also my big issue. I think we've addressed the closed loop system. I think we are properly addressing power. Any other natural barriers that are either there now or can be added in addition to the acoustical fencing that we were talking about? As I look at the site plan, obviously trees, shrubs, bushes, all of that absorbs sound as well. So as I look at it, I'm not exactly sure if it's just what is there, or there's additional things we could do. Anything else to add to that?
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why we wanted to include that we will continue to use this site for self-storage, and those buildings will be self-storage, and because of their location, they act as an additional sound barrier, those buildings. That's one of the reasons why we're showing them and showing the location and agreed to that. That's one sound barrier. There's existing vegetation along the common property line, then it drops down about 20 feet. After that, what we would be doing is a sound fence. We've agreed to 10 feet tall at the edge of that existing landscaping. We have looked at whether adding additional landscaping would reduce noise, but the conclusion is that because of the widths, landscaping takes widths, it's better to do the privacy fence with the sound attenuation. If we put, it doesn't add any, we haven't come up with a suggestion that adding some landscaping in certain areas would do it. If someone had an idea of how additional landscaping would reduce sound, we'd be glad to do it.
into the existing buildings in green remain, so that also acts as a sound barrier. So that's it's a self-storage building. So you have a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buildings that are also helping to block the sound.
And the buildings are what? Made of what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are metal buildings.
Those are metal buildings. Okay. So you're not concerned that the sound is just going to bounce between metal?
So overall, again, I know we're talking about the bounce and the echo and so
You
forth,
get
but
echoing?
most of the sound actually, should have been clarified, gets absorbed by the fence. So in actuality, it's not going to be a ton of bouncing when you put the right sound attenuation fence in. So no, we're not as worried about that. Again, buildings, it's about blocking that sight line. If you block the sight line, you block the noise.
Okay.
I have a question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Questions. Yeah, I have a question. So looking at where the fence line is kind of right there at number 8.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be, and I think it would help with even more sound, is to take that fence all the way up, come across the back, all the way over to the highway. I think that would eliminate some of the sound problem, if you will, because in that number 8 area there, those are the apartments,
Yeah.
right? And so that would be kind of my thought on, just taking that 10-foot fence all the way around to the highway.
We would agree to that. 10-foot. We would agree to a 10-foot sound attenuation fence that is along all that adjacent property line up to the interstate.
I'm going to move one question away from sound, then I'll move back on to sound, okay?
Okay.
Because I know I got a question from someone that they wanted to know the answer to, and I thought that it'd be important. So I got a question from someone that's wanted to know an answer to this particular question. So I'm going to be asking that in their place. So the question is, why is it here? Why is it on this property? Why is it not elsewhere? Why is it this property that needs a data center?
A couple things. The biggest is that you need this type of digital infrastructure close to where it is being used for traffic control, for everyday use, for business use, and as I said, the emergency call and the emergency response and being able to handle traffic controls has to be close. So you need it close by. The location works really, really well for a couple of reasons. Number one is you have a substation that is properly sized. Unlike the Powers Ferry data center, which is a massive data center, it's scale-wise very different than this. That substation is not sized correctly and would have to require significant upgrades. This substation within a stone's throw of the property is already sized for this use. So there's don't have to increase the infrastructure. Also, the opportunity to be used an existing building, existing paving is environmentally sensitive. So location makes a whole lot of sense from that perspective. There's also a lot of fiber optics in this area. That's the reason why that other data center is close by, is there's fiber optics that are all around this area, making this a good area for this type of edge infrastructure. And when I say edge, it's a term that is used in the industry that is this first line of digital transmission. It is not the data center that is the mega hyper. It is intended and needed to be close. The location is important because of the proximity to the people that are using it, proximity to the power, proximity to the fiber optic lines that are there.
I can see Carlisle has a question. I'll yield.
Go ahead, finish. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
I'll have other questions, so I'm okay to yield for this one for now.
So, do you have you stated who the actual clients are, or is that?
Well, I think.
I mean, you're stating that being close to the actual client and where it's needed, but who are the clients?
Well, just like any digital infrastructure, if you ask who the clients are, I mean, you can look at the other center that's close by, and you have local companies. Number 2 privately held company in the state of Georgia, located here in Cobb. They use data out of there, so we don't know who the end users will be. But we do have a contract with a provider that's going to put the digital infrastructure in, and that's going to be used by other people.
Is that a local provider that's going to put the infrastructure in?
It's a national.
National, okay.
Yeah.
The second part of that is, does Edge have other data centers, or is this their first one?
What Edge is a term for these type of data centers. They also have, but the name of the company is also picked up on that.
So yes, there are.
Yes, they are. Can you tell us where they're located?
Salem, Massachusetts.
Please go to the microphone.
Yes. So within the Edge, there's a portfolio, and then it's about connecting these local communities to the data infrastructure pipeline. And so we have locations in Salem, Mass. We have locations in Colorado. We have locations in Florida. And so we have, in actuality, as they start to connect, it creates even greater ability to have low latency. So with actually each location, that strengthens that grid. And it actually creates what's called a fiber network that allows you to be independent. So as one carrier comes in, they won't have a monopoly in that area. By having these edge facilities, we can have what's called meet me rooms, which allows different carriers to come in, and in those carriers, we can allow people to have more options.
Are they the same size as this one?
They vary. They range anywhere from 5 megawatts to this size.
Okay. Going back, I was going to continue asking about some of the noise stuff. So also going to continue to ask about some of the noise things I've heard from residents, constituents as well. One I've heard is a concern about some of the vibrations, as Cheryl had mentioned earlier, with equipment both inside the building and outside. I've heard that there is some technology that deals with either matting or something like that reduces the vibration. Is that going to be used for this to make sure that the vibration does not go off this property?
Yes. He mentioned it, and I want to emphasize the interior equipment is actually then contained within a box. And those boxes are cooled within themselves, and they would be sound or vibration deadening flooring also.
And that would be dealing with some of those other the stuff outside of our normal hearing range, essentially. Yeah. But it can have other health effects if it gets out. Similar to be whenever I know watch gives an indication of a high noise environment, both being loud when I can hear, and also whenever it's going through, you can feel it from the bass or something like that instead.
Yes, the racks have vibration deadening qualities.
Okay. Sure, I know you've got more. I can see Daniel Gaddis.
This question's for staff. Daniel, the future land use for this area is regional activity center. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What does it say in our comprehensive plan about regional activity center?
If you'll give us just a moment, we will pull that up. Shelby, are you able to pull up the definition, the comp plan for the definition of a regional activity center?
It says provides for areas that can support a high intensity of development, which serves a regional market. Typical land uses in these include high-rise office buildings, regional malls, and varying densities of residential developments. Does that sound?
It does, and she's about to pull up the plan as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, just to read it clearly, the purpose of the Regional Activity Center category is to provide for areas that can support medium and high-density office and commercial development, serving regional markets and trade areas. Some residential may exist in the form of single-family homes along Interstate 75. Limited residential opportunities may be provided in mixed-use developments with residential areas separated from surrounding corridors. Transit-oriented developments are appropriate near mass transit stations. These are districts generally located along major arterials, freeways, interchanges, and along high-capacity mass transit routes. Compatible zonings are RRC and the like.
Thank you.
Another question, please? Okay. So one of the things that was discussed with Powers Ferry that was asked but not necessarily answered has to do with the heat island created. So my understanding from my research is that an 18-megawatt facility can create a heat island anywhere from 4 degrees to 8 degrees hotter in that area. What will be done about that? I mean, it was 103 the other day, according to a meteorologist. I didn't feel that, but I didn't go outside. So I don't know. But I don't want 111. So what are you going to do? What can you do? I know one thing that can be done, again, this is just from my research. As the lady said, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a lawyer. But I do research, okay? So one thing is additional buffering with trees and landscaping between your property and the apartment. And we also have got the fact that the highway generates its own little heat island. But what are you going to do on this to keep the heat island from becoming excessive?
So great question. So first, I want to make sure it's clear. It's 12 megawatts of critical load. So the comparison of Powers Ferry and this one are quite different.
I looked up how much heat does, because you could go up to 18 with all of the rest of the stuff that's there, an 18 megawatt data facility create.
So yes,
and I used AI to do it.
So the easy answer is we can mitigate heat island effects on the asphalt by putting in more landscaping throughout the entire property. As your research probably realizes that any major parking lot wide open creates a heat island. And a matter of fact, we probably are lessening that impervious concrete area. So we can add landscaping. We are also, should be noted, every piece of equipment is ready for solar and microgrid capabilities in the coming future. So every piece of equipment will be lined up and ready for that to change over for that. So that could be an additional item. It doesn't necessarily help the heat island, but it does help with the sustainability aspect.
Now, so one of the things that my research is showing here is that there's something called a high-velocity upblast fan hood. And according to my research, again, AI, it explosively shoots the hot air further up, so it's less effect for the people in the basically cone of the building. So is that a possibility?
We would definitely consider any heat island mitigation that the engineers would recommend.
Okay. Again, so I guess, and everyone knows that I was the motion for the last data center, and I am not against data centers. But I have questions that I don't feel are adequately answered, mostly regarding sound. And I keep hearing that the sound engineer will do that. Do we have a study from the sound engineer? Have we heard from them yet?
Yeah, it's currently ongoing, right? So first we have to study the site, so that's underway right now. And then as we start to put in the pieces, we can do that. I do want to address this one item. Every hospital has usually some form of chiller, and it's running 24/7. And it is next to a hospital on a regular basis.
Guys.
I'm not trying to. Obviously, a hospital is a different situation. However, we are, supporting that type of technology. My point is that chillers are used. There's hospital grade. There are chillers that are used to try to mitigate sound for people that are in there. That's number one. Number two, if you remember the slide that we showed earlier at the existing location, and they have 4 chillers that are literally in sight of the pool. You can stand at the pool, and there's a small landscaping buffering, and that is it. And then there's a little bit downhill slope, and you can see the top of the chillers. It's already there, and there's not that much there. From our understanding, and when I go and walk that facility, I stay in Marietta and I go for runs. I run down that street. I don't hear the noise coming up to the pool.
And I will tell you that I was over there and I didn't hear the noise. But what I will also say is, just because we've done it once doesn't mean we should do it twice.
Understood, and I completely respect that, and that's why I totally agree, and I completely respect that. That's why we're putting in the levels of mitigation that we have today, and we will take it to the to the highest level. So as we go in and finish the permitted set of drawings, we can review with the sound engineer can have a conversation with your building department and make sure that we're in compliance.
And I have a suggestion on how that could be phrased. This is the minimum that we would do, is what we've described here with the additions, in that we will meet the 50. Our equipment will not create 50 at night at the property line, 60 during the day, which is significantly low. And we will take whatever actions are needed to achieve that, as per an engineer, sound engineer submitted during plan review. So you've set the standard, and you've charged us to comply with that standard. And so that means that every suggestion you've had would be considered on ways to ensure that that level's met. And in addition to that, we've agreed to have monitor at this property line to ensure that that is being complied with, and we would share that monitoring with the city. So you have a level that's significantly lower than the noise ordinance. You have minimum that we would do this, that our engineers think would meet those minimums. And then you have a third that if it does not, we would take whatever additional measures that the engineer determines is appropriate to meet those levels. And we would then have monitoring to ensure that happens.
All right, my last question. I'm sorry, guys. We don't have Mark Rice here. Daniel, can you answer, hopefully? At what point do we have to hear from the sound engineer? Though I'd like to hear it now. Is it pre-disturbance? I mean, at what point? And when I mean disturbance, I mean land disturbance, not just that this is disturbing.
Yeah, it would be done with both a site and building permit submittal, and so the building permits would be evaluated and wouldn't be approved. Mark Rice would hold on to anything subject to that if that was a qualification that that you all permitted.
Okay, and so if we're not happy with the sound engineer, you guys know that we don't move forward, right? You get that.
I have another question. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll go next.
Something we haven't talked about, stormwater. How do you expect to have any additional runoff stormwater just from rainwater coming off the buildings and the site that you?
We will actually be, if anything, reducing the amount of impervious. It's already got a lot of impervious. We would not be increasing the impervious, so we would not have any additional stormwater. We would agree to comply with all the stormwater requirements in terms of not only retaining but water quality.
Some area of that site, is it in a floodplain or?
Interestingly, a very, very, very small portion is in the floodplain. Unfortunately, when I looked at the floodplain map, the entire multifamily is in the floodplain. But if you see only that top right, the floodplain line comes into our property, just a very, very small portion. None of it's in pavement. It's all landscape area. But it is minimally impacted by. But as I said, you can see the lines. The department is in floodplain.
If I can ask the three of you on a big picture question, within 8 counties from us, there's 2 to 3.5 gigawatts being built. Paulden, Bartow, and I didn't foresee this coming. Is that going to be a trend that y'all will want to build one and we can have 8 or 9 more come to the city?
No, we've agreed that this would not be expanded, but you've got a moratorium. We don't plan to apply any more, but this is.
Why do you need the small ones if we've added 3.5 gigawatts to the great state of Georgia? And most of us in North Georgia, are we going to start the water wars again? There's going to be a lot of water taken out of North Georgia, and we'll be punished.
Yeah, that's why the closed loop. We won't use any more water than a residential use. So this use won't be any more impactful than residential type use. And then the size is actually what is needed. They need smaller, closer to the action, closer to where the cell towers are, because you get that data from the cell towers to these facilities. So its proximity to the population is what is important, and that's why it's needed. And this is a much more nimble, more designed for local need and local use.
My concern is we have 750,000 people and a lot of businesses. And thank goodness we got good water and good electricity. I'm proud of our utilities, but I just want to make sure that by doing this, that we'd have 10 other people come in.
Yeah,
I could live with 18, but I don't know if I could live with 10 18s. and would we have a right as a public utility to turn them down?
Yeah, meeting with the BLW director. This power usage fits within the allocation that the city already has, and so it actually manages that allocation very efficiently.
I can tell you, as the chairman of the board, we worry about the Territorial Act.
Yeah.
If we start turning people down, Territorial Acts don't always hold true.
Mr. Mayor.
And I'm just looking at all the different things. Yes, sir.
Can I ask Stephanie to show something? Shelby? No, the email I sent you.
Oh. The what?
It's the email from Patina that shows the allocation that we have.
We still don't know why we need
this is a chart that shows for the last year, the top line is the capacity allocations that the BLW received. The second line is the baseline as the average of what our customers have currently used. And you see on the end there, the average shows that we have an excess of 227.1 megawatt hours per on an average per month. So that means we sell those back to the spot market, and sometimes for less than what it costs us to actually generate them. And if you see that bottom section is cost on the spot market average for the last year, so we end up selling it back to the other 49 MEAC municipalities on an average of 4 cents per kilowatt hour. And when I checked my light bill, I was paying for the month of June 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So we have the excess capacity. We have to be good stewards of that because we have to allow for growth. But we already have the South Fulton, Powers Ferry, and if we do this, it would really severely narrow down the excess that we have. But we want to maximize that. That's the whole idea.
To the mayor's point, that excess capacity you're selling to someone else.
Right.
And if you think that this facility won't be somewhere else, maybe by another, and so you'll be selling that power cheaply to someone else to have the same system.
As opposed to making the money.
It's the question whether you get that benefit from here or not. Because that power is going to be used by somebody else, and it's going to be sold to somebody else a lot cheaper. So this 18 megawatts is going to be somewhere else, and you're going to be selling your capacity to them to use.
That's not the issue. We have a contract with MEAC, and we have to sell it back to MEAC.
Mr. Carr, let's keep it within.
Yeah. So I appreciate what you said, Mr. Parks.
I got a quick question.
Okay.
Can I go?
Go team.
You've talked about using the building, not expanding the footprint of the building, everything else. As far as the infrastructure for getting that power from Marietta Power to this building, do we have to add any overhead transmission lines, or do we have to bury any more lines going off the site to get the right amount of power to this building?
I think
it's horizontal boring. No, you do not have to add any overheads or do any underground work. No disruption to the roadways.
Okay. So, second part, can I ask one more question? This might be for parts, it might be for staff, but we talk about a contract, like y'all would sign a contract with the Board of Lights and Water, Marietta Board of Lights and Water. What is that, like if we say, your max capacity is 18, well, what if you came in and signed a contract, but you only consumed 5 or 6? And, obviously the city would benefit for the most you take. And as far as a contract goes, when you negotiate that, is there a term on that contract? Is it a long-term contract, a short-term contract? Is it negotiable throughout the life of the contract? How does that normally work?
Well, the way I as a lawyer, the way I look at it, it's an adhesion contract. So whatever the BLW wants and to protect them and their customers is what we will do. So there will be a time limit on it. They could add a minimum monthly usage, and if they want to add that, we would obviously, they're going to present a contract to us. We will have to agree to it. So if there's a minimum usage that they would like us to agree to, we would agree to that.
Okay, that's all. Again, for some of us, this is the first time we've heard anything about a data center, and so we have first time we're hearing about how it works, contractual-wise with the city. So that contract is how the city benefits, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, we're selling the power to y'all.
Correct.
Money.
Yeah.
People live from it.
I can try with a few more questions?
Let me look up something while you're doing that.
Okay. While Councilman Richardson looks that up, a few other questions that I've seen that might be I'd like to hear some answers to as well. This is from an engineer, so I need you to explain it back into layman's terms on this. Okay. Is the mechanical design an n equals 20 or n equals 50 year extreme ambient? And what is your expected peak in annualized PUE? And can you please explain that in layman's terms, please?
Sure. The N50 is a 105-degree design day, which is what the chillers are designed for. It's a term used by the Uptime Institute, which kind of sets bars for data centers. So that's what they're designed to. And the second part of that question, could you?
What was your expected peak in annualized PUE?
1.3.
And please define what 1.3 means in this case.
So that means for, say you used 10 megawatts of power to actually run the computers, you would use 3 megawatts of power to cool them.
So in your case, the 12 to 18, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay. Doing the acoustical study. Has an electrical engineer of record provided an EMF study?
EMF? Is that?
Parks.
Electromagnetic frequency.
Electromagnetic frequency study?
Yeah. You said there's no EMF.
Yeah, so EMF is typically either by like high frequency or power lines. And since this facility doesn't use high voltage, the high voltage is brought in by Marietta, and we basically transform it right there. There's really no EMF to be concerned about. There's probably more EMF on the roadway with the power lines running down it.
Okay. Councilman Richardson, was that enough time for you to take a look up your information?
Not really, but and I'm not, this doesn't, it's kind of confusing here. So I know we're up against a highway and we're already going to have, health issues based off of diesel trucks running up and down the highway all the time. You said it's going to take 9 diesel generators if there was a power outage, and that you're willing to test those on a staggered schedule. What else, if anything, can you do, should you do? I know one thing that I'm thinking, which again comes back to landscaping, to mitigate particle disbursement for us allergy and headache sufferers.
Do you mind repeating the question? Sorry.
That's all right.
I know you're trying to formulate it, and I don't think I got the real question.
So my issue is about health benefits.
Yeah.
Or health
repercussions.
Repercussions, thank you. I'm getting a migraine from these lights. So health repercussions. What mitigation is there? Because the diesel generators are the biggest health issues come from particles. Those particles generally happen at the place of generation, which isn't what we're going to have here. Generation's going to be at wherever, the Wansleys of the world that we get our power from. But anytime you spark up those generators, you are going to be contributing particles into the air. So realizing that, we really have to have a very concrete landscaping, because I'm not sure you can do much else for the particleization of the diesel fuel. So and I know we talked kind of about that for noise, but are you prepared for a larger buffer area, landscaped buffer area?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Like I said before, I believe that helps the sound.
Huh?
It'll help the sound as well.
Oh, I think so
Sure.
too. Yeah, definitely. We just need to talk about what that buffering looks like. And Daniel, what's our buffering right now? I keep looking for you over there, I'm sorry.
It's a 40-foot buffer to residential. Is the requirement of code, CRC.
Is the requirement?
Correct.
What is it? I mean, I know that one of the things being asked for is existing conditions. What's the buffer now? Do you know?
We don't know. It's certainly less than 40 feet, though.
Oh, yeah.
If we pull the site plan up, I have a suggestion. So actually, this one right here, this layout, the one that's, yeah. Oh, Shell. Yeah, there we go. So on where number 4 is, that side, for some, the grade differential is really high at that angle, right angle. And there's landscaping on both sides of the property line. Where we get the closest to at grade is unfortunately where we actually lose some landscaping that was done years ago. And what we would like to do is continue that landscaping line straight down, so that landscaping in that area is reestablished along that line, all the way down. And
Can we get to a 35-foot buffer?
We will. We'll make it happen.
I'm done.
May I ask a question to my colleague as well, Councilor Richardson? Do you need any more information on the stuff? Do you have any other questions?
No, I have no more questions. We just need to find a way that all of this gets incorporated. I still will continue to say that I am concerned about the sound. I know that we have procedures in the way we do things. I wish that we had the sound engineer here right now to get fuller questions answered. I wish we had a sound study before we go forward. I do understand, though, that if this were to pass, nothing could be built, disturbed, because the next step has to be you coming back with those things. So this just starts the process, and I get that. But I still have a lot of questions, and I've no problem saying that I've said this for a while, is my biggest question is sound.
And may I ask one more question to my colleague, Mr. Mayor? If something went into a motion, what would you think would be appropriate? Would it be coming back to council, coming back to staff?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
What do you think would be appropriate if something was made tonight versus a table or something?
This is the discussion.
As much as I hate these words, my preference, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, Mary, you're looking a little...
We're rolling together.
Okay. My preference would be a tabling. I just have too many sound questions. For everybody who's clapping, don't take that to mean that I am against this. What I'm saying is I have questions. I would like to talk to the engineer. I would like to hear from the engineer. I mean, I understand you're agreeing to everything that we want, But I'd like to hear from the sound engineer to make sure that everything that I think we need makes sense, because I'm not a scientist.
Is there a second to the motion?
If we could,
Oh, I didn't.
Can I make a comment before we?
Before I
Well,
do anything.
go. I'll second the motion, and then we can have
Chair's
discussion.
accepting that as a motion to table.
So the chair
Apologize.
the chair accepted as a motion the motion to table.
Okay.
I second the motion, and now
I yield.
I have
I'll
a
yield.
question. I would like to see us come up with a special land use permit during this table. Do we have enough time?
We can't do it.
We
can't vote on them.
Well, we
can't
can
come up with
we
something
can come
now
up with
that-
those
yes,
guidelines.
yes, I
and
do
they
agree with
would
that.
They would have to agree to them, and then we could pass it as a ongoing special land use permit that would be used once we offer the moratorium.
That's a zoning change that would have to go through advertisement, planning commission, and then back here. It's probably a
Votes and-
60-day.
But we can set the criteria
Yes.
during this table for how long?
May I?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm asking this to you. For a table that means a month table. That means it comes back in August, correct? And I want to make sure that's correct.
well, I was going to ask if we could be on the 28th, July 28th.
I don't think that would be the best idea. Are you okay with the August meeting instead?
The next regular meeting, we would. Yes.
And I really would like to hear from the sound engineer. I mean, Attorney Huff has my information. I would just like to get better answers on sound.
We will have them. Thank you.
Thank you. I know.
Well, they're accepting that. Yeah. But there's a motion in the second, and a motion before us to table the motion, and it will be to the next meeting because the chair will not call a special call for something this important. So it'd have to be the August. Please indicate your vote as to the table.
This is tabling until August?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0 to table. We'll hold a breath for a minute. I kept looking at you, wait to make a motion.
I'm sorry.
No, I know.
I was being really courteous. I didn't want to take it.
To be perfectly honest, I was kind of figuring that's some harder question.
I'd like to open up the floor for unscheduled appearances. This one might count to next month. See nobody come forward. I'd like to close the public session and adjourn the meeting.
All this time not to speak. Wait, he stayed that long not to speak.
Come ahead. I just ain't going to stay. We've had a couple hundred.
Okay. I'm usually in bed by now. I really do want to thank City Council. I want you guys to know I appreciate your patience with us tonight. I appreciate the amount of bending of the rules that y'all have allowed within your capacity. But these AI data centers are such a big issue, and I hope next time we commit to meet the moment and making space for all community voices to be heard. And I really want to highlight the contradiction. Why are we only instituting moratoriums on an AI data center after one has already been approved in the city? 52 of my neighbors Agree as well. I'm back, y'all. And really shout out to the friends who helped inform them and gather their names. The online petitions have only grown as well, so I do encourage y'all to please honor them. I think personally how we should proceed is joining in the other cities in the country who have committed to outright banning any AI data center as well. And we should include the ones already approved by the city, I think. And I think we who have spoken on this issue can agree that we are fighting for our lives here, our children's lives, our families, and I would hope that the representatives we elected as well would be fighting for us as well with similar enthusiasm. This issue is too severe and too consequential to ignore, and one need not look far to see the devastation caused by these data centers when built without guarantees or oversight on their impacts. I mean, how can we give away pieces of our city like this? And how much can we even give away? How much power can we contribute to these projects before they even overload our systems, before they start blowing up our rates? I couldn't read the slide exactly that showed like our power capacity, but it looked like the Powers Ferry proposal like took up a substantial amount of that for its initial proposal. I know it's gone down, but that stuff changes. Without any like further opportunity for review or community input, this changes on a whim. It has long been the mantra of Silicon Valley tech giants to, quote, move fast and break things. But how much further can things go before we are just beyond repair? I urge City Council, along with my neighbors who stand here against these plans, to instead move fast and fix things. Thank you. And do I still have some time? Yeah. To speak? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm so out of it. Okay. I do want to also address something as well. They keep saying like Marietta is a digital city. No, we are All America City, National Civic League Hall of Fame, Marietta City. We are a historic city full of families who have lived here for decades and generations. And our city's comprehensive plan was developed to ensure families can continue to live and thrive here. Nowhere in that comprehensive plan are data centers even mentioned. Why should we not adhere to our own city's plans? I think that's about everything I want to say on the subject for tonight. I appreciate your time. I'll be back next month.
I'll speak for a minute. One thing that my name's Gretchen. I live on Cherokee Street. One thing that he pointed out just now is the fact that it's not in the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan says a business should be there. A data center does not bring in any jobs. The regional activity center, which is what it was planned for, would bring in a lot more jobs than a data center. A data center doesn't bring in any jobs, and we don't need their money as a city. That's the only thing we're getting from it is selling them energy. Then we don't need that. It's too much environmental destruction, noise to be worth that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Meeting. I'd like to close the public session. Meeting adjourned.